my name is Jess, and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here, I talk about bookish things plus a bunch of other little stuff, but today you're visiting or viewing my Throwback Thursday book review, where I promote the previous books that I have read and have given recommended reads to on my blog, and I talk about them more. This is not a reread. It is basically me remembering and going through the highlights or high points that I remembered when I first read it, and then telling you about it and getting an open discussion about it if you have any comments about it before. I do have other things I plan on rereading, just not at this time. So yes, this is my Throwback Thursday book review. Today I am discussing Burned by Cast and Kristin Cast. I hope you're aware of the House of Night series and are fine with spoilers, because from here on out, this is going to be a full of spoiler book Throwback Thursday book review, because there is no way for me to talk about Burned without kind of backtracking and updating a bit about the story. This is book 7 of a 14-book installment series, where the most recent novel is actually going to be out in July of 2018. I have only read up to book 8, but that doesn't mean I will never get back into this series, because I do really enjoy it. This novel got 5 out of 5 stars for me. So yes, from here on out, it is a spoiler book review-ish, so if you want to go, that's fine. Thank you for stopping by. If not, hang tight. Okay, so Burned. Basically, I have to backtrack and talk about the cast of characters, because this is from a point of view of 6 different people. And in the main character's cast line is always Zoey. It's based around Zoey. It started off with Zoey. It'll always be around Zoey. But since the first book marked, it's branched off to her full cast of friends. And they're all trying to battle darkness. And it's a matriarchal society where there are a bunch of vampires. And the House of Nights is the school that Zoey gets brought into, because she is marked in the first book as a vampire. And every episode, and even though it is 14 novels, at least up to book 8 that I've read, which is the one after this, of course, they are very tight-packed, and their timeline is very together. So though they have a lot of stuff in each novel and a lot of action scenes, they always pick up right after the last one, and it's not a lot of time has always passed. In the first book, you have Zoey, you have Aphrodite, who in the first few books is a real bitch, and she kind of is throughout the series, but she turns, like now in this book, she actually is helping Zoey and is nice and on what Aphrodite coined as the Nerd Herd Squad. And the Nerd Herd Squad is Zoey, her best friend Stevie Ray, then there's also Aaron, Shawnee, who are also, even though they're completely opposites, Aaron is a white blonde, and Shawnee is an African-American girl. They're water and fire elements, and though they're completely opposites, they're called the twins. And then also in the Nerd Herd Squad is Damien, who is kind of, at least in the first few books, and like I said, I've only read up to book 8, so there might be other vampires that have elements who are not, that could be like Damien, but I haven't actually read any yet. But basically why Damien is unique is because most of the vampires that have these magical abilities that can do the earth, air, fire, water type of thing typically go to the females. And yes, Damien is gay, but he can control Earth. So anyways, the 5 of them, Zoey, Shawnee, Aaron, and Damien, and Stevie Ray, are all the Nerd Herd squad. And then in the other books, you have Heath, who has always been, he's a human, and he's always been Zoey's best. He was her boyfriend, on again, off again boyfriend, and they just always worked and clicked. And though she turned vampire, he always stuck with her. And in book 6, I believe it was, the very end, something bad befell him. So he's dead now. And in the previous books, you meet Stark, who is a red vampire who was controlled by the darkness and had changed, and he is kind of in a, say, warrior relationship with Zoey as well. Though this is a matriarchal society, I really feel, and though it is YA, I really feel that the 3 of them should just get it on. I mean, it would be easier than, oh, you are my girlfriend, you are my girlfriend, and fighting all over it. I mean, it would just be easier if they not worried about the menage qualities and just be a couple and just love Zoey. And this is how I feel for like all of the little setups, because when you have the high priestesses, they always have multiple men in different ways that help them. So that's why, I mean, I'm sorry if this is just thrown in the middle of this book review, but that's how I've always been feeling when reading these, and I was just getting into what the menage type of thing is, because that's the only issue I have with most of these stories, because it's always fighting over it. When you know that the woman, or Zoey, the high priestess, or whatever, is going to be the high up person and such, and is going to be leading them all, and you have the guys that have these certain roles, and it's not that, oh, you are definitely this and not this, it's just that the way that Miss Cass and Mrs. Cass describe it is that it's like ingrained to them. So it's not something that they chose, it is something that chose them. And that goes for the men as well. So anyways, that's just my feelings. But you have these 2 guys, but Heath, like I said, is dead. And so for Zoe, Heath, and Stark's role in this novel here is Heath, and even though Heath is dead and Stark is Stark, Heth, as his spirit, tries to save Zoe, who is kind of trapped in the Otherworld. And Stark, the only way he can do that is sort of die himself. So he goes on a quest to help Zoe get back to her body and herself. And while Heath is in the Otherworld, he helps her too. So I really liked that part of this novel. It was very well written and gave me, as people say over here, all the feels. I just couldn't get enough. I loved it. For Aphrodite and the Nerd Herd, they basically, on their own, try to figure out ways to fight the darkness and against the Vampire Council that are giving them, they don't believe what they're saying right now. The Vampire Council doesn't believe what they're saying about the darkness, so they're trying to figure out ways as to proving to them through what they can find and researching and all to help them get around it, so when Zoey does get back, they're not having to start from square one. And then Stevie Ray, in previous novels, she has been Zoey's best friend. They were school roommates, and she is kind of Zoey's counterpart. And I really like Stevie Ray, but in the past few novels before Burned, Stevie Ray gets involved with the Red Fledglings, who were created in darkness, and they're not the typical vampire. So now, recently, I believe it was in this one. If not, it's in the next one, and I'm sorry if it is. Anywho, Stevie Ray becomes the high priestess for the Red Fledglings, and she's going about trying to figure out how to help them out and such. However, she has, I don't know how to pronounce his name,
but Ephraim? No, something along those lines.
Anyways, the big bad dude, who was Nynx's warrior who has gone bad and such, had created these bird men, who are his sons, and they have darkness in them as well. Well, one is kind of fighting it, and his name's Rephaim? I'm butchering the name, sorry. Anyways, he and Stevie Ray, she, on the side of doing the Red Fledglings, she hides this Rephaim from her Red Fledglings and basically tries to get him out of the darkness and tries to reform him. And they get a different type of bond because of that whole situation. And I liked it. I really like the relationship that they form. However, it creates a lot of turmoil within her own Red Fledgling society. So it's interesting how that turns around or plays out within this novel. Burned is mostly, I mean, other than Zoey being in the Otherworld, it is mostly about Stevie Ray. See? Stevie Ray's right on the cover there. And I really liked it. Like I said, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I have always been a fan of the House Knight series, even though I have not finished the series or haven't even gotten into the ones after they've sort of defeated the darkness or the big person that's against them, and I'm not talking. So, I can't remember the big high priestess name who has accepted the darkness and who they're after. It's blanking on me, and I'm so sorry about that. But I really recommend this series, especially this novel. So if you have not read this and you're still here, I recommend the whole thing. I mean, I gave spoilers out, but I did not tell you everything. I mean, this is a YA romance, a previous novel that they actually had. There has been a sex scene, but it was well written and well done. It didn't completely fade to black, but it was only one sex scene, and it was between Zoey and a dude who really treated her poorly, and it was just, yeah, it was well written. Now, since I like more adult romances, since I read this, because I started this series in 2010, before my blog, before I got into reviewing professionally and such like that. So I really like this series. I've gotten distracted because of a bunch of other novels, but I mean, if I had to reread anything on my shelf, and that includes the Harry Potter series, I would reread the House of Night series. It is that good. I love the setup of it. I love the friendships that they have, and even for Aphrodite being a bitch throughout the whole thing, even when she gets on the Nerd Herd squad, I love it. I mean, they have these great snarky characters that are just so fun to read about. So yes, if you have not read the House of Night series, please do so. If you are interested in it and you get up to book 7, definitely read Burned, because you need to read this series in order. It's not standalone at all. And Burned is so very good. I mean, even though there's characters that bad things happen to, you still get to see good sides of them. And not everything is good, because not everything is, there's a bunch of gray involved. It's not everything is black and white in what happens to these characters. And I'm sorry I'm getting rambly in this video, but I just love this series. I had reviewed this in 2010, April of 2010, and gave it the 5 out of 5 stars. I had actually started this series prior to my blog and everything, like I said, being up and out, and that was, my blog started in 2008. March, the first novel in this series, was out in 2007. So I had read it between 2007 and 2008. And I love this series still. Go check it out. Please! If you don't mind my rambly review and you're still around, please try to give this video a thumbs up, or even if you don't like it and give it a thumbs down, give it a rating. Go for it. Comment away if you've read this series, and I would love to hear your thoughts. It's been so long since I've been in it, but I still love it, and oh my god, I love this series, even though I haven't finished it yet. Please let me know your thoughts. In the description are all my links and my book review that I did in 2010 if you want to check it out. Thank you for being here. Have a good day.